Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bat, and today I'm going to be playing some more Oscilio games. And I'm starting to work out kind of a theory for how I want to try to build this deck. I still want to have kind of like the switchboard list, but I almost want to have kind of like a third game plan, which is kind of like what I'm trying to work with this deck. So for this list, we basically kind of have three rough game plans. So we have the big spell version, which we bring in our kind of bigger spells if we're going first into, kind of more aggressive deck. We also have more of a Cheerios version where we're bringing in stuff like the E-Strikes and the Lightning Strikes just to push more damage and be a little bit more aggressive. This third version that I'm kind of working on is almost like a more combo-oriented build. So basically, we're trying to kind of go all in on the Gauntlet Flash combo, and this is what we kind of want for, I think, just like slower decks, like Florian, New, for instance. And I'm basically playing a lot more kind of like instants that kind of dodge a lot of their disruption. So like Seduce Secrets, like Electrostatic, or not Electrostatic's not an example, but like Sigil Solace, etc. So this is kind of a working theory I also have. I'm also running these two Aether Arcs because I'm kind of still wanting to test these over kind of like the Mind Warp package. But if you look at the Cheerios list, actually what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to bring them in this version just to pump up the spell count just a little bit. Again, I don't think we want the Spindles because the Spindles are kind of clunky and hard to cast in a more kind of streamlined version of this build. But I think Aether Arc is pretty easy to cast, and being at roughly 8 spells, I think is probably fine in more of a Cheerios version, although like your brick chances do go up if you're only on 6. So I want to try the Aether Arcs out today. And then we're also going to try out the discharges. So those are kind of my spice inclusions for today. And then I'm also bringing in Tunic just to see if it helps with any like slower matchups. Although I don't think Oscilio needs a ton of help with slower matchups. And maybe it's just to shore it up and maybe have some kind of blocking value. Yeah, but I think this is going to be a list for today. I'm going to try out some things. This is more of like a test list as opposed to like a super refined list. So take all these choices with a little bit of grain of salt. I just have been playtesting this in my own time. So again, some of my choices might be questionable. So anyways, with that, I think we'll go ahead and get to the games. All right, we have a Viscerai. Let's see who gets to go first here. All right, so we are going first, which means we probably want to operate more on the big spell package. And then I think we actually do want Tunic if we're generally going first, just so we get that extra 1 point of block. Seems kind of reasonable. Let's go ahead and try it out. Okay, we find a Comet Storm Shock, a Mind Warp, a Current Funnel, and a Blink. So what, if anything, do we want to get rid of here? Do we want to get rid of anything? Part of me is almost just fine, like, casting Blink and then setting Comet Storm for 6. Seems semi-reasonable. Alternatively, we could just play both sides of Comet Storm Shock. Yeah, that's probably actually the play. So we'll just do both here. Pitch, pitch. We could have also filtered to find a Sigil, I guess, but then we're not guaranteed to draw into anything super relevant. This is fine. So we'll target them for 1. Pump Bolzar, send 6. They do get to filter their hand a little bit here, but we're sending unpreventable damage, so pretty decent. We get to Arsenal Mind Warp. I think there's maybe an argument for trying to filter for a random Sigil there. So if we do that, maybe we're 1 card deeper in our deck, but we also lose out on the 1 pump from Bolzar. There might be merit to doing that, honestly. So I'm going to call that a micro misplay on turn 1. That might be somewhat relevant if we're looking to try to dig 1 card deeper to find something. It's actually a decent hand, assuming that we don't need to block anything. Like we don't have a resource, is the only problem here. So we could like fry, somersault, not cast the fry again, send Mind Warp. It's not terrible. Let's see what they're becoming here. They're discarding a Drawn to the Dark Dimension, getting what? Malefic, maybe? Can you even get Malefic with this card? Yeah, non-attack action. Yep. Still need to learn what Viscerai's cards do. He's been in the game for so long, but I've like never cared about him until now. I feel like most people probably feel the same way. Getting a Succumb to Temptation. That could be a little bit rough. So this will be coming in for 4. They have a Succumb in their hand. I guess we should probably try to filter this blank. Find a Sigil of Solace. Kind of interesting. We are noting that they are on AV3. So they take my Fry, and we're in a pretty bad spot. But maybe that's just fine. Maybe we just have to filter on our turn. We're not blocking 3 on armor here. Like, we're not... We could block with Fry and Somersault it, then we're guaranteed to get the Fry back to our hand at the end of the combat chain, but we're basically spending Somersault to keep a Fry in our hand, and we're discarding one of these 2 cards. I think we're just going to gamble on our turn and try to filter into something a little bit better. Although it looks like they... So, notably with Succumb, I don't think they've dealt arcane damage, so I actually was playing around nothing there. Snuff out. Okay, interesting. Huh. So they got that just to pitch? Or maybe to make a rune chant? Sure. So I think we're just discarding the Sigil here. That seems fine. If they want to destroy a rune chant, we'll discard a Sigil. Not the end of the world. We get to send a nice big Mind Warp next turn, so I'm pretty happy with this. Alright, we'll start out with the Fry, so we can Fry, Somersault, pitch, Bolzar, Mind Warp. We do need to be a little bit careful about Face Purgatory, but like if they want to give me 2 cards in an armor to discard 1 card, get 1 card, like kind of fine with that, honestly. Gets it out of the way early. I think you do want Tunic in general. Like, if you are on Tunic in the sideboard, I think you do generally want it if you're going first into big spell, because you're pretty much always guaranteed to have, like, at least 2 turns in your game, unless something, like, crazy happens. We will react now. Target our Fry. This is going to be a pretty juicy Mind Warp. Mind Warp for 6, so it's basically guaranteed at this point. Turn our Fry, not their Amplify. And that is a pretty good turn cycle, honestly. 6 damage plus 6 damage on a Mind Warp with the on hit. It's pretty solid. We force them to discard a card. Oh, but they do get a rune chant, which is kind of interesting. Sure, but we also take them off cards. I'm fine with that. Ooh. This is very nice. Do we want to play Sigil out on our turn? We could, but it's also not super necessary. Like, we could Sigil, Lightning, Gone in a Flash. I think we just want to set these up for next turn, honestly. So notably, one thing with Viscerai in particular is that I don't think Viscerai tends to run a ton of Arsenal Disruption. I'm not going to pop Greaves here or go crazy. I think we're just going to develop out both of these, and then we might even just pitch the current funnel away, although it's not, like, terrible. But I think we just want more stuff for Gone in the Flash. So this is fine. We'll play out our Sigil Lightning, bounce it. So we could have played out the Sigil Lightning, but then we are down in Embodiment for next turn. Oh, also, we should have probably pitched the current funnel. It's fine, it's fine. We can IP ourselves slightly. But yeah, I think my original plan was to pitch the current funnel there. Alright, we see a Mordred-Tide, which is fine for now. Although it's a little bit scary on a 5-card hand. So we're probably going to be taking some damage here. We actually have a really decent hand next turn. This is probably going to be acting as pitch more than anything. But we can double Null Shock to bounce our Gun on the Flash, and then we have a ton of action points. We did see them also pitch a Succumb. And we have the Gone in a Flash and Arsenal, so we really don't care too much about our hand. We can also discard the current funnel if we want to be a little bit spicy. I guess we don't have to do that right this second. You can see if they have a Succumb to Temptation here, and then we can block out later. They have it, they have it. Okay, it looks like they probably don't, because I imagine they would play it there. Okay, they drew a card. They still have 3 cards. It's potentially risky to try to block this now, but I think I'm going to go for it. I'm just going to like play around the Succumb to Temptation, cash in our armor now. I don't think our armor is going to matter too much in terms of like breakpoints because we don't block anyways. It looks like they're going to Spellbound, which is fine. So probably playing out, it's like a Revel. Makes sense. Sure. I think we will go ahead and discard current funnel. We have all the action points in the world. We get our Sigil of Brilliance, and we have an excellent hand. This is a lot of damage. They are also representing a lot of damage, though, so that's fine. I'm so glad they implemented this feature. Yeah, this is fine. So 3 damage, we get a 9, but we're going to send 1 billion next turn, plus the arcane damage. It's really freaking good. So we're using the Sigil to bounce, so we're not going to play it on our turn. We can get our 1 value out of Aether Bindings on the next turn if we so desire. Oh, I probably should have thought about cycling one of these Null Shocks. That's maybe a slight oversight on my part. I think we do probably end up well, it's probably fine to just keep it too. Sorry. Blah, blah, blah. So we should pop the bindings in the... Yeah. They redo this. So we should pop the bindings first. Alright, so we pass. Skip all the rune chants. Pay 0. Pass. Pass. Again, we're not going to cycle because we didn't cycle at the end of our turn, so I don't want to, like, you know, scuzz them out of something. I'm mainly just doing this for the bindings. But I think we should maybe have tried to cycle one of these Null Shocks away. Alright, we're going to activate our bindings here, just get our 1 free point of value. And I think we are going to go ahead and start with the Gone with Flash. Seems reasonable. So this is looking like 24 physical damage plus however much arcane damage. Decent amount. They want to face Purgatory this. I think I'm more than fine with that. So notably with Face Purgatory, they do still get the trigger on the Face Purgatory if they coded it properly. One thing with the Null Shocks as well is that we're not going to be able to... Maybe Tunic actually doesn't do very much here. Because we need to pay 1 for this Null Shock. So we can't really use both of them the way we want to. It's kind of interesting what their block is. Sure. So now that they face Purgatory, we can bottom the Null Shock, or discard the Null Shock, which is fine. We'll discard our Null Shock. This might have been the wrong discard. Pass reacts, so we can get our go again. Sorry, I'm trying to think through this turn. Could also not pop Greaves here. How reasonable is that? We'll start with Sigil of Solace. Bounce now. I don't think we're going to need the extra action points based on the texture of our hand. What happens if we Gone in a Flash, play out Sigil of Brilliance, then null them? Then we set up for next turn, potentially. It's kind of risky. Sure, let's try that. I don't feel super confident about this play. I feel like we could have, like, maybe tried to bait out the Face Purgatory somehow. Or maybe I just discarded one. I'm not sure. Could have also just gone for it here, but seems a little suspect. I mean, we can still opt to go for it if we want to. It seems like they're almost like committed to blocking out, and I don't think they can represent 12 damage next turn. So I think this is fine. We'll go ahead and pass here. We will play out the Sigil of Brilliance, return it to hand. And then we can potentially set up for a nice big hand next turn. So from here, we'll pass on this chain link. We'll play out the Shock and cash in our 5 damage. And then we still have Lightning Greaves plus Tunic set up for next turn. We put them down to 23. They have 3 cards to work with to try to deal 12 with no Rune Chance on board. So it has to be a pretty good set of 3 cards, and it looks like they're also discarding one. This is maybe a little bit greedy, but I kind of don't mind it. Alright, become the Arknight. So they still only get 1 card out of this. They're getting a Mordred Tide for next turn. Do we want to try cycle here? Do we think we can do better than a Null Shock? I don't think we can. I think we're just going to end up pitching this Gone in the Flash. See what our random draw is. Our random draw is a Fry, which is not amazing on the Greaves turn, but hey, it's not nothing. So I think now is probably the turn to activate Greaves. Just develop our hand and get really far ahead on tempo. So we'll do our Tunic now. Pass reacts. Activate the Greaves. And then we will go ahead and start with Sigil of Solace, just because they have Reaping Blade. We'll then replay out the Gone in the Flash. Pass reacts. Bounce the Gone in the Flash one more time. Play it out again. Although, actually, we should probably play out the Fry first. Sorry. Play out the Fry first. Because we want to actually use the Null to bounce a Gone in the Flash back to our arsenal. So now play this out. Volzar will come in for 7. So this is potentially threatening lethal. We're at effectively 16, and they have to give us something here, either a Dyadic Carapace or some other card from their hand. Because it's very likely that they can die if I have another this and then the 0-cost spell. Which seems quite good to me. So pass reacts. We'll then go ahead and null. Oh, we don't have shit. We don't have the resources to pay for Volzar. Ooh, I forgot about that. Well, we can still pivot here. Oh wait, we return Gone in the Flash and then we Volzar. Yeah. Wait, we can totally do this. So now we use Volzar to shock. Okay, so I didn't plan for the Gone in the Flash to be used as a resource. I was originally planning on putting in Arsenal, but it's obviously better to try to cash in 7 arcane damage there if we can, right? So I think I don't know. I feel like I haven't piloted this game perfectly, but maybe at a macro level we're doing okay. We are forcing a card out of their hand, and they have to try to deal 16 damage on 4 cards. and assuming they're getting rid of a blue, because otherwise they're kind of almost within kill range of like a Common Storm Shock, although we only have 2 of those left in the deck. Alright, looks like they did pitch a blue Rune Flash. Okay, and this is an Oscilio hand if I've ever seen one. Alright, they do have that Mordred, we remember. So maybe it's possible they're able to deal 16 here. We're also not going to be able to block a lot of this damage. Alright, looks like they also hit off of the Sonata, getting another Sonata. Or not. Wait, why does Sonata not work like that? Sure, we're gonna go ahead and cycle here. Could they not have played the Sonata out? I'm gonna develop out one of these Sigils of Brilliance, by the way, just to cycle it. I want to try to find some damage that we can push here. I'm kind of confused. Alright, Tegan's probably gonna have to be the one to watch that one back, because I had no idea what happened. Reactions, we'll play out the CLV. GG. What was there? So let me see what happened with that Sonata. Amplify, Snuff Out, Drub Triptych, Arcanite Chart. Resolving the playability. Oh, they did not hit a Sonata off of that. Okay, I don't know why I showed it revealed. So they actually just whipped off Sonata. Okay, that makes sense. So, yes, opponent kind of got unlucky there, but it happens, you know. Even if they hit off Sonata, I don't know if they're still winning that game. They might be. They had to Runeblood a Deadwood Dirge on the Mordred turret, which is pretty good. Okay, well, that was a pretty good first game. Let's see if we can get another one. All right, we have a KO. I think we will try to go second in the KO, though they can develop out a lot of stuff. We'll run Blossom of String if we're going second, and then I think we just want our Cheerios package. We don't really care about Seduce Secrets into KO, I don't think. I think this is a good configuration. We'll also run the Balance of Justice just to kind of get our free card draw if they ever Blood Rush. Seems fine. I still think you generally want to try to default to Cheerios if you have the opportunity. I think it's just kind of like, I don't want to say it's better, but like, I think that the game plan is a lot better if you are able to. Okay, it looks like they're also discarding a Blood Rush, which is maybe unfortunate for them. Although, interesting that they didn't Blood Rush. Oh, I guess they have the Pulping. Huh, interesting. Yellow Pulping is not coming in very clutch here. We'll go ahead and actually maybe just double block here. Keep on holding onto our Mind Warp seems fine. Might be a little greedy, but we can also Sigil. We're at net 2 life against a KO, which I think is a pretty good setup turn for us. Okay, and we get a little bit punished here, but I think it's okay. So I think we're just going to threaten the Mind Warp. Although, actually, sorry. We should play Sigil. Pump Fulls are beforehand, right? Sorry, one more. We should pitch the Etchings now because it's very unlikely that we're going to develop a Sigil out, and then we Mind Warp them. So we're now holding on to the other Mind Warp. I think it's generally quite strong against KO, especially if you can develop out a hand against them. And this will hopefully force a blue out of their hand, which we do. Could have also paid a red if they wanted to, but glad we got that out of their hand. Okay, this hand is a little bit clunky, but we can try to make it work. My immediate thought with this hand is that we maybe want to try to find Cycle Comet Storm Shock for something a little bit more strong. Although we can always just bottom it with E-Strike, then play Gauntlet Flash, play Sigil Lightning, and set up for a good next turn, although we're IPing ourselves by not playing the Mind Warp. Alright, they discard. That's fine. I don't think we're blocking here. Oh, hello, cat. Cat. Hello, baby man. Okay, so coming for 8, we take 8. And then I think we are probably going to cycle this Comet Storm on our end step. Alright, and we find an Etchings, which is interesting. Could actually just play out the Sigil Lightning ahead of time, but then we're just using that to E-strike the Gone Flash on the bottom, which seems kind of bad. I think we're just passing here. I think our plan is to E-strike, go again, bounce with the Gone Flash with Sigil Lightning. Yeah, we'll do go again here. And we'll just use this turn to try to develop out our Sigil and then hopefully have a decent Gone Flash with a Mind Warp finish on the next turn. Like, I think if we draw 3 instants, we're probably cooking next turn. Play out the Gone. Pass reacts, and then Sigil Lightning, return to hand. And then pass back. One important thing with Mono Flash that I think people maybe get concerned about is like IPing yourself with Gone in the Flash, which I think is generally fine to do. It obviously like feels a little bit bad, but I think it's sometimes maybe worth it. We draw into a little bit of a clunker of a hand, and I think these are kind of, I think, a little bit statistically unlucky. Just because we've seen 6 spells in the top of our deck. It's a little bit unfortunate. But I guess the positive side about the spells is that at least they're 3 blocks. So if they like CNCS here, I guess we're not that concerned. Although Assault and Battery is not amazing for us. Or I mean, it's not terrible for us. So we can actually block like block 6 here and then just Blast Oblivion and send Mind Warp for 3. Arsenal Gone Flash seems kind of reasonable to me. I think if we don't have to IP ourselves with Gone Flash, we should probably try not to, but it's not actually that terrible to just IP yourself with Gone Flash sometimes. Alright, so we get our embodiments, we can play Blast to Oblivion, and then we can send the Mind Warp for 3. Pretty good. They might also be scared that we're gonna like bounce Conductivity or something, but I don't really know what they do against that as KO. We probably have at least one more turn left in this game. Again, it seems pretty tall order for K to try to deal 28, especially down a Blood Rush, and presumably down a card. So we force a blue out of their hands, or I guess just any card. Alright, Blue Edge will wind up is fine. We get to Arsenal Arcana Flash. They have a 4-card hand, which, again, not much we can do about that, but it's okay. We have a pretty good setup turn next turn. I'm just wondering if it might be a little bit too slow. It's fine, though. One thing also with KO against Oscilio is I almost think you want Flesh Bag into them. Or into me in general. Huh. Discarding a CNC. Do we want to just pop Balance here? It's probably worth it to try to dig for a spell. We could also try to catch in all our armor. I don't think the 2 breakpoints is really going to matter all that much. And we might want to Greaves next turn if we draw like a good instant. Sure. We might get punished by this, but I find it hard to believe that they're gonna try to punish us, especially with like a CNC in the bin. Then we'll go ahead and pop Balance, get our extra card. Okay, Discharge is very, very nice. We are lacking a spell here, but maybe it's fine. So we do Fry, Current Funnel, Gone in a Flash with Go again. We then Electrostatic, Entwine Lightning with the Gone in a Flash, play Gone in a Flash, play Sigil Brilliance. So we don't even need to pop Greaves here. We can potentially save it for next turn. So this all starts with the Fry, I think. Again, we don't have an Arcane payoff, but maybe that's okay. Pass here. Play out the Current Funnel, which is going to enable us to basically get an extra action point this turn. Right, blocking 2 is fine. Yep, it's fine. We then play Gone the Flash with Go again, and we need to remember to try to do this during resolution so we get our action point back. We will then Electrostatic Discharge in resolutions, returning the Gone the Flash. We'll then Entwine Lightning for 7, which is quite solid. And then we finish on Gone the Flash, Sigil Brilliance, and then we'll pass it back to them. They can pretty realistically try to deal 13 damage on 4 cards. Like, it's not complete, like, it's totally reasonable with KO to try to do that. I'm hoping that we get them low enough here where at least scare them maybe into blocking. And if we do end up having to block, we do have a Sigil Brilliance to kind of get an extra card to try to kill them with. I think we're on an alright spot. Alright, we did get them to block with a card, which maybe suggests to me that they aren't able to deal 13 next turn. And that means we get a really nasty setup next turn. Oh yeah, this totally kills next turn. Let's see what they got, though. This is coming in for 7, which is quite decent. Oh, if they have Arsenal Disruption like Ascend Packing, this could actually be terrible for me. Well, I guess they can't play Ascend Packing off of this, right? It would just have to be like some vanilla damage. Yeah, I don't think there's actually anything. Well, they could Savage Sash into CNC. I think that might be the only out I can think of right now. Okay, another Wild Ride for 6. So we do have to give them 1 card here, but I think we're okay with that. So what is the card we want to give them? We could probably just give them the current funnel since our plan here is to probably pop our Greaves anyways. So this seems fine. We can go to 3 here, and we're pretty safe. The cat is being bad. What the fuck, cat? I love you. You're so good. All right. Anyways, coming for 3. And no cycle here. I think we just win with this hand. So I will go ahead and probably pop Bindings because I think this is probably going to be the last turn of the game. Find a Sigil Lightning, which we can either use to bounce or to cycle. I think it's probably better to just bounce. So do we want to cycle this Blink? Maybe, potentially. Try to find some kind of payoff. I don't think we need it, though. Alright, we'll pop our Blossom. Play Gone on the Flash. Pretty sure this just kills as is, because we have 16 here, and then plus another 4, and then plus another 4. So we're dealing 24 damage. Pass reacts. Activate Greaves. Blink. Play it again. I'm pretty sure we just strip all the cards out of their hand here. Like, maybe it's we should have cycled to try to find like an arcane payoff, but we also kind of like drew all of them, which is a little bit unfortunate. Alright, so we get a block out of them. We'll go ahead and bounce now. Doesn't matter since this doesn't have go again. Play out Entwine, show them the Gone with Flash. So we're still representing another 12 here. So they have to give us at least 1 more card. They could very well kill us here. Oh, also, we should have... maybe not. Maybe the 1 damage actually matters here. Oh no, so they do have to give us 1 more card. Yeah, so they do have to give us 2 cards here. Alright, give me your last card. So their ceiling here is Claw. This is assuming they have blocking cards in hand. which they very well might not. All right, we see a red pack hunt, which I think is good for me. Get him down to 3. Again, we lost a little bit of Bullseye value, but I think that's fine. And we are able to block out a Mandible Claw here, fortunately, although it is coming in for 4, which is a little bit scary. But I think we just have it here. So I'm going to go ahead and cycle the Sigil Conductivity. See if we can find like a better payoff. We do not find a better payoff, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and block with Flittering Charge because we only have 1 instant in hand. Pick 2, go down to 1, which is playing it a little bit risky, honestly. Pass here, and then I guess it doesn't really matter on the triggers. Yeah, that's fine. So we will play on Twine Lightning, no Fuse. Coming in for 4. Then we can Electrostatic, Flittering. Sure. Get another Agility, which is fine. We have a Sigil of Solace on top, which is not super useful. And yeah, I think we're just going to double discharge. Send Flittering. For 9, so they probably have to give us all 3 cards in hand. Assuming they can. Could have also died to Reckless this game. That wasn't a thing I was thinking about. Let's see if they actually had a Reckless. Ooh, they did. Yeah, so maybe it was playing a little bit loose there at the end. I think we kind of maybe just got a little bit lucky that they didn't have it there. So that's maybe one thing to keep in note maybe next turn. Although I do think that like maybe going for it's probably still right. Interesting game. All right, looks like that's going to wrap up the recording for today. Again, I just want to do some short games because I want to try out this list, get a feel for it. Again, I kind of like the Electrostatic Discharge thing going on here. And the Aether Arc, I think, improving kind of the payoff density in the deck, especially on the Cheerios version, seems kind of spicy. I want to try it. Maybe even going down like 1 Aether Arc or maybe like, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine cutting Mind Warps, but maybe going up to like 8 spells in Cheerio version makes a little bit more sense in terms of ratios. But again, what do I know? Not a mathematician or anything, so I'm going to keep trying this list, maybe tweaking it here and there, but I kind of like what's going on here. So thank you all for watching, and if you have any recommendations, let me know. I will see you all next time.